Well, here's our Excellency. Here is the who is the enemy, who is
Life stages. Usually it starts with the legs, with this petri dish, the mosquito, and then it's after a few days it will develop into this stage. We call it larvae. Yeah, and we have pupae, and the next stage is pupae in this cup. And then lastly, we have some of the mosquitoes which transmit diseases in coastal Kenya. Yeah, these are the mosquitoes.
So here you can actually dissect them.
Yeah. And actually you can identify it. You can see there is a male realized, which is full of glands. And the other one is a female, which is actually the one which transmits malaria. You can
And the
see
one that's red?
is the one which has failed. It takes the branch, this is a branch from the human. And these are cells that are infected with malaria parasites. Because normally the mosquito is a very innocent insect, but it takes the branch to feed and be able to appreciate its life. So it lays eggs.
These are now already...
Now they come very many types of eggs. It can be this way, or they can be singularly laid like readiness that we have actually been trying to do that. And we have indoor spray. And the question is, where are the mosquitoes breeding? Can we be able to do larviciding there? And this is actually the key, because if you kill these malaria vectors.
Exactly.
So basically now what we are trying to understand is that the mosquitoes are actually developing very queer behaviors. Because they have known that you are not sleeping under the nets, you are actually also spraying indoors, you are get the feed inside. We are using so many nets, we are spraying, but malaria is not going down. But that's a question that we are trying to answer. And if you now do the larviciding,
that is when now you can say you've dealt with.
You can cut that. Correct. Because all mosquitoes will have to breed outside. And we have those mosquito larvae which we have launched the Kenyan project, which is actually going to do that in the academic area, which is actually going to.
My name is Dr. Malaria. Happy to see here is first that what we usually expect is this blue line where the parasites grow in the individual, where you get to a point where they need to be. So we've developed a tool that's more sensitive, using the real-time to control or suppress this infection. So they have some immunity to it. Now what's interesting is the red line, which are the individuals who do not have any parasite growth at all. And so this means these individuals have immunity malaria treatment. So these are the individuals that are interesting, and we would like to study them further so that we can inform vaccine design, which you'll be told about in the next slide. We were the designated lab that supported the 6 coastal counties. And since the start of the pandemic, we were with some colleagues having funding from the Wellcome Trust to support this work. So we work closely with the counties, they collect the samples and bring them to our lab. So to date, we have conducted over, by taking blood samples from individuals across the country to identify those who have been exposed to infection. And this was done, and so for malaria, we've been able to do this, and we've developed an in-house platform where we validate the WHO panel that was available.
So now you're also able now to do the genomics.
Yes, and so this work nicely leads on to my colleagues.
And how are we moving with that?
Yes, sir.
When we started this, is the one place what the capacity is ready. But this is
this was where it started.
This is where it was started.
My name is Professor George Waremwa, and I lead the vaccines research team in this looking at reducing the dosage of vaccine that's in our plant. For malaria, for example, we partner with researchers in Mali, Burkina Faso, Tanzania, and the UK. So using a fractional dosing strategy, you can extend supply and reduce cost. So we're generating that evidence. For yellow fever, we've already got made in my research team a vaccine that can be used for humans and animals. We work on many other vaccines against other diseases, including the Oxford AstraZeneca, the Kapiti at Newry, and it's now into human clinical trial. It's not a disease that you see all the time, but as we have seen from the Africa CDC initiatives
then I went up to KEMRI-Wellcome, and that led to a policy change, and we saw a drastic reduction in number of malaria-resistant parasites, and that's really important. So leveraging on these platforms, we are
My name is Professor Dayo Akintipa, an epidemiologist. It's a privilege to tell you a bit about some of the disease surveillance work that we are doing both in Kenya and in Kilifi. That change to an effective drug, as my colleague has pointed out, has led to a difference in the prevalence of parasites that are resistant to the high body areas around the lake. We can already see the benefit of the new government policy here. Basically, it's underpinned by the largest amount of data on malaria prevalence. That policy and all those investments. We hope to continue to do this and to document the additional benefit of larvicidin, which we start having. But what this shows is that although we may have had some deaths due to COVID, even causes of death by conditions. So here I'm not talking about malaria. I just want to draw your attention to this yellow sector, which refers to say
You can't do it in one country.
absolutely.
Even if you cleared it here, if it is still heavily prevalent here,
Mosquitoes don't have passport.
Yeah.
We have not missed a lot, is what this figure shows.
Sure.
You see, for us, it's very important that Uganda, Northern Tanzania, you know, are also doing it, because if they don't, then
If they don't, exactly. Not even know them.
we work with them very closely in our research.
Jima.
And then the first locally manufactured malaria rapid We expect to register the kit by November 2021. The social impact or economic impact of this project. One is progress in malaria elimination, and initially we're looking at the production of 50 million kits, that foreign exchange, and we also look at the African continent requires around 750 million
tests.
What they did, when we were really desperate for sanitizers, they were the first ones to actually give us sanitizers in mass production.
But this one meets very high standards. It's very much taken by the population. Yes,
when we were not able to do to pick the samples, viral transport media, VTM.
For COVID.
Yes, because we were leveraging on our other product, like PCR test kit for COVID-19, which is also under validation, and we hope that also by the end of the year we'll be able to roll it out as we move along. Another important product is this, the COVID-19 test panels, proficiency testing. You will remember that sometimes there was media.
Eventually, we look like this.
It will look like this. Yes.
Let me see one piece. How many empty?
Yeah, we're just in the process of finalizing it. So come December we will.
And what will it do with the drop of blood?
Yes, it is just a rapid test.
Finger-free.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.